Warning, the Renegade Recruiter is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious recruitment, staffing, and search business owner who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches, without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Terry Edwards. The Renegade Recruiter is unleashed.
Hello. This is Terry Edwards from terryedwards.com. Welcome to another episode of The Renegade Recruiter Unleashed. And of course, we're joined by our co-host, Drew. How are you, Drew?
I'm good, thank you, Terry. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. And the fact that you're here, Drew, I want to share something about you, actually. An incident that you experienced about 10 days ago. Just to let you know, Drew tries to play football occasionally, and I use that word "try" deliberately. So he occasionally, plays. He plays. In fairness, he plays 11-a-side on a regular basis, and during the close season, he plays 7-a-side. And about a week, 10 days ago, Drew was playing 7-a-side with a group of friends, and Drew went into goal. It has to be said that Drew's no natural goalkeeper as well, by the way, so can explain why some of this happened. Somebody took a shot. Drew went to block the shot with his hands, and rather than hitting the palm with his hands, it just caught his smallest finger, his little finger. He felt a bit of a twinge. In all fairness, he was very brave in it. Felt a bit of a twinge, looked down at his finger, and he could see the bone sticking out of his skin. Because what happened is that the ball had bent his finger back and broken his finger, so much so that his bone was sticking out of his skin. And I actually saw the photographs because Drew had the presence of mind. He thought, I must take a photograph of this because nobody believed me. Just takes the photograph.
Well, broken finger sounds such like a minor injury. But it's only when you see the photographs you're like, oh wow, it was quite bad. It's quite bad.
Yeah, and that's a fair point because I you sent me the photographs, and I was eating at the time, and I looked down, and it did put me off my foot. It's like, oh my goodness, so, it's very true. And look, in my world, I've never seen a break like that where the bone's actually sticking out. I've never seen anything like that, and I have to say I've never want to either. But the point of the story is that Drew was taken to hospital by a friend, and they had a look at his finger and they said, yes, it's broken. I remember thinking, no shit, Batman. Even I could have told them that. But not only is it broken, but it's also dislocated as well. So he had a broken small finger, but the joint had dislocated as well. So they said, what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to put the joint back in, so to speak, before we repair the break. I'll tell you what, Drew, I'll let you take over from here, actually, as to what you then went through in that experience as they tried to put your finger back into the right place.
So basically, like, what they need to do is so obviously the bone's sort of sticking out and the finger's sort of misshaped. So what they need to do is sort of pop it back into place, basically. So just with the hands, just pull it and pop it back into place. But as you can imagine, it's painful.
And they gave you gas and air for that, didn't they?
Yeah. So in fact, I had to ask for gas and air because they said they couldn't do it, and I was a bit like, sounds painful. Can I have some gas and air?
Hang on a minute. So they didn't offer the gas and air.
No, they didn't offer. I had to ask, and he was like, because he went to do it, and I was a bit like, what's he? So I can see it sticking out of my hand, obviously. Like, so imagine you got your bone sticking out of your finger, and he's like, so I'm just going to pull it and pop it back in. So I'm sort of like, that's going to hurt, and he sort of nodded, and I said, well, can I have some gas and air? And truth be told, like I quite like the feeling of gas and air anyway. So it was sort of like, yes, stop the pain, but I thought, I broke my leg like maybe 10 years ago, and it's sort of, it's kind of like being drunk, and I sort of quite liked it. So I was like, can I have some gas and air? He was like, yeah, okay. So it sort of went away, came back with the gas and air, sat me down on the sort of the medical bed thing. So I'm sort of got this mouthpiece in, biting down this mouthpiece, breathing this gas and air, sort of going a bit loopy, and I'm watching what he's doing as he's sort of manipulating my finger back into place. So he's basically just with his hands pulling, so it's my little finger on my left hand, sort of pulling it out and trying to just like pop it back into place, right? And
that sounds frigging painful.
Yeah, it was. So I was like, so gas and air, you haven't been on gas and air before. It's sort of, I'd say it makes you a bit loopy. So it's sort of, it's not like, if numb's the right word, but it takes your mind off the pain anyway. So you're not necessarily focused on anything. You're not focused on anything, like even the pain. So I could feel it. So I was sort of like tensing, like even shouting. So I could feel it, but I knew it would have been a lot worse without the gas and air. But it did definitely still hurt. So I popped back in. Still an open wound, but before that they're going to stitch it up. They need to do another X-ray to make sure that it's in properly, right? So they send me.
I've just got another question, Drew. After they've put it back in, does it stop hurting the dislocation, or I mean, are you in pain still?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what's meant to happen. Which again I'll explain why it makes sense why in a minute, but it started hurting more, so it's now all of a sudden more painful. So before this, it looked, when I done the injury, it looked really bad, but it wasn't actually that painful. Like it hurt, I could definitely feel it, but in terms of what, you know what I mean, in terms of what it looked like, it wasn't actually that painful.
Yeah.
Right. So it was bearable. Hadn't had any painkillers. Sort of like, yeah, obviously it looks bad. Can you fix it? Just like a cut, really. It just felt like a cut, like as a normal cut would on your leg or wherever. But then after he's done this, it was beginning to hurt more, and I thought it was because he's obviously just squeezed broken bone basically. So I thought that was normal. But then went for the second X-ray, and what happened was he hadn't done it properly. So where he sort of tried to pop it back into place, he's got my flesh caught in the joint as well. So I can't get X-ray. They're telling me what's happened, and then so basically we're gonna need to do the same thing again. And so by this point it's hurting a lot more than it was before. So I was sort of like really, I don't want that to happen. They're like, don't worry though, we're gonna send you to a specialist to do it at a different hospital. So I jumped in it. Before getting to that, like sort of another point I want to add to this is and it's just about what recruitment and search managers can really learn or take from the medical profession. And because what tends to happen with doctors or people who work in the medical industry, we tend to trust them. They have like almost immediate trust. So this guy, so I'm not sure if he was a doctor, whatever job title this guy was, he tried to put my finger back into place. Because he was wearing sort of a white coat and a uniform and was in hospital, I took his word for it that he knew what he was talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And trust is a big factor in what makes the sale. So Terry, you always say, like, in order to make the sale, in order for a client to buy from you, they need to have a need, need to know who you are, need to like you, and need to trust you. Trust out of all of those is the hardest one to build. But with medical professionals, they have it straight away. I mean, how often do you, like, I guess for a more serious industry you might, but how often do you know what I mean, Terry? You go to a doctor and you asking sort of like, they say that you need to take these pills, and you sort of questioning like, okay, so where did you go to school? What's your background? What do you know about?
What university do you go to? Yeah,
you just don't question it because they have this perceived authority, or I guess it's real authority, but it's just interesting that they've managed to do that. That professionals managed to do that, and okay, so I'm not sure if we'd ever be able to reach the level of the medical profession, but there are ways that you can improve the authority, the trust that you have with your potential clients before you even meet with them. Like, I mean, becoming an author is one way to do it. Speaking from the stage, one way to do it.
Speaking from stage, speaking at webinars, interviewing experts. A common way reminds me of a story I was telling you the other day, Drew. One of our clients at work, he's based in Luxembourg. His fee, he said, my fee is 33%, and he only works on retained as well. He said, but any less than that, he said, I found when I work at 33%, the client trusts me, and we have a good relationship, and I'm not working for the client, I'm working with them.
Yeah.
If the client wants to force me down on my fees, I then end up working for them, and at some level, they're questioning my credibility and my worth. And personally, I just won't work with them.
You're listening to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.therenegaderecruiter.com.
Now, there's an example of, of having that authority and saying, look, I won't say what niche he works in, but it's a very defined niche, and he just positions himself as the expert in that niche. But that's another way of authority. And I think another way for recruitment and search firm owners that I think blows their credibility is when they tend to want to sell. They tend to want to make their diagnosis without actually find out what the client's looking for. So they tend to either pick up the phone or go into the meeting and say, hey, I'm a great recruiter or a great search consultant, and we do this, and this is our mission statement, and I've been doing this for 20 years, without actually asking the client what they're looking for. And it's a bit like if you go to your doctor, and the doctor, you walk into the doctors and they say, right, Drew, take all your clothes off and get on the couch. If they did that without asking you the relevant questions, you would question their authority and their knowledge and everything about them. Yeah. And they would probably get struck off for actually doing it. And they know that they would blow their authority. But recruitment and search firms, they're blowing their authority by doing that. And it's, what you've got to do, one way to educate and build authority is by demonstrating, not by just demonstrating you know the solution, you've got to ask the questions to establish what the problems are to be able to offer that solution. Yeah. It's a real insight there. So that's the first part of the story, Drew, where you go to, I shouldn't joke about it because I know it was painful, but you go to a hospital, they attempt to put things right, and it doesn't quite go to plan. They then say, perhaps you ought to speak to an expert, and they send you to another hospital. And there's something in there for recruitment and search firm owners. Again, if you talk to a client and they say, we gave this assignment to somebody else and they didn't deliver, or it took them ages or whatever, clearly that's a sign that client needs an expert. And if you're the expert in that particular niche, can you see the position of authority that gives you? So they then send you to another hospital. Just tell us what happened when you got to the second hospital, Drew.
So I mean, just take it back a step. So they tell me that they're going to send me to a specialist. I'm thinking, why didn't you do that before? I didn't know. I didn't know there was such a specialist. If you know what I mean, I didn't know that role existed. I was like, okay, fine, brilliant. Send me to a specialist. So they sent me to a specialist. Now, it's a 20-minute Uber journey right to the hospital. By this point, it's getting late. It's like 2 p.m. I'm tired, dreading what's about to happen because they're basically going to do the exact same procedure again, right? They're going to repeat what they just did, and it was painful the first time. But I get there. This person's a specialist, so she's like, so it's a female. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to numb your finger so you don't feel anything. I'm going to numb the whole finger so you don't feel anything. And I'm thinking, what she said was, I'm going to numb your finger again so you don't feel anything. I'm like, again, they didn't numb my finger before. And Short shakes his head and it's like, well, they should have. It's going to be really painful if they don't. I was like, yeah.
So tell me about it.
So anyway, she numbed the finger, done the exact same procedure. I watched the first guy do it, and I watched this lady do it as well. She was probably more aggressive, right? I was watching her. She was probably more aggressive, but because she had numbed the finger first, I didn't feel a thing. Like it didn't hurt at all. I watched her do it. Again, like the sort of painkiller lasted about 2 hours. Like the pain, even after 2 hours, and painkillers had worn off. The pain had pretty much not gone, but it was so much better than it was before.
Yeah, substantially subsided, I guess. Yeah.
And like really, like the message from this is, like, now I've had that experience, and now I know that there are sort of specialists to deal with this sort of injury. If I ever had the same injury again, I would always seek out the specialist. And the point is, your potential clients are the same. They have probably had a bad experience with a recruitment or search firm owner before they buy from you.
Yeah.
So the only way you can make the sale, or to make it easier for you to make the sale, is if you can position yourself as the specialist for their problem.
And also, by the way, if you can do that, you've got less issues with your fees. So if they come along and say, yeah, but so-and-so down the road can do this for 25%, and you're asking for 33%, you say, of course they're doing it, they're going to be cheaper, but I'm the expert in this particular niche. Now, if you want the expert to work on this, that's what it is. But if you want to work with anybody, that's not me. I suggest you work with some of those cheaper guys down the road, but they're not experts. It really depends on what you want. But it's so important, and I think one of the things with around authority, often you must see this as well, Drew. You look at some recruiters and search firms' websites, and they have at the bottom of their website the fact that they're a member of some recruitment or search firm organisation. Yeah. And when you talk to the owners, they say, yeah, but that enhances my credibility. Well, you want to think about that. It's very rare that a client says to you, can you show me what qualifications you have to work on this assignment. It's very rare, if ever, you would go to your doctor and say, can you talk me through your qualifications that you've got? You know, it just doesn't happen. But it's all to do with your positioning. You've got to position yourself as the authority, and it happens before you actually meet the client. It's not just being knowledgeable in of itself is not enough. You need to create that perception of authority to reinforce that you are the authority in that particular niche. And the moment you're perceived as the authority, the moment that you actually stop selling and you can get to a situation where the client's buying from you rather than you selling to them.
Yeah.
And the greater your authority, the more likely that's to happen. Yeah? So first impressions are important. You can undermine your credibility and authority quite quickly with first impressions. The way that you communicate. Just very quick, I'm going to tell you, I didn't tell you this story, Drew, offline. Well, I say who it is. LinkedIn, an account manager at LinkedIn, sent an email to one of my clients saying, I don't think you can do that. Just that language alone lacks confidence and authority. And it's about the number of groups that you can join on LinkedIn. And somebody that works for LinkedIn is saying, I think you can only join 30 groups on LinkedIn. This, by the way, is somebody that's employed by LinkedIn. And she was just left confused by that particular statement. So just the way you communicate can have a big impact on the authority that you portray them with your potential clients.
Yeah.
And it is that confidence. It is so important. It's imperative that you become a subject matter expert. And the moment you can do that, your clients will pay for your expertise and authority. Drew, thank you ever so much for sharing that painful story. Just for a latest update, what's the latest update with your finger now? 'Cause that was about 10 days ago or so. What's the situation now with your fingers?
So I just had to stitch it up today, actually. So it's in like a cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a plastic sort of brace, I guess. I just had to stitch it out today, and I'm going for sort of regular physio, where to sort of stretch it and make sure it doesn't seize up. But yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm not on any painkillers. I mean, it's hard to type.
Yeah, of course.
And do you know what I mean? Like, you sort of, or I did take for granted how often you use your hand. Or it's never thought about it before. But yeah, it's just like hard to get a shower, hard to type, just hard to eat. Like prepare food. Like even just making a sandwich becomes a difficult thing. Even like obviously picking my son up. It's difficult because I can pick him up fine, but like obviously he's 4 months old, so where you might get excited and kick. He kicks your finger, and again it hurts all over again.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But apart from that, it's it's fine.
Good stuff. Thank you ever so much for sharing that with us, Drew. And on that point about authority and why it's important that you position yourself as the expert and with that authority, in November we're organising an event. It's called the Lead Genesis event, which is on the 29th and 30th of November. If you go to terryedwards.com/Genesis, you can find out more about it. It's a 2-day event. And the purpose of this 2 days is to share with you how you can generate a load of leads without making a single cold call. It's all about lead generation. And there are hundreds of ways that you can generate leads and get clients coming to you. And we're going to go into more detail about authority and position yourself as the authority in your particular niche. So go to the website and find out more about it. It's a 2-day event held in London. We've got people coming from all over the world that are going to be joining us. So you'll meet other owners and directors of recruitment and search firms from all over the world. Some of them have been working with us for a while, and they're going to share some of their experiences, and some have never worked with us before. But we're all going to get together for 2 days. Drew and I will be there, and there's a very slim chance that I'll buy you a drink, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. So go to terryedwards.com/Genesis. Drew, thank you very much indeed again for everything, for sharing. For show notes, go to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed. That's the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed for show notes.
Sorry, is it Renegade Recruiter Unleashed? No, it's just renegaderecruiter.com.
Sorry, renegaderecruiter.com. Of course it is, yeah. My apologies. Until next time, take care, take action, and be relentless.